oral interpreting or oral transliteration. The definition is it's the silent replication of what speakers say. So you're sitting, you're listening to someone speak, and you're mouthing the same words that the person is saying. You may be changing the words at times. Some of you may be thinking, well gosh, why would you even need to be trained in that? Anybody can just mouth silently someone else's words. But actually, with training, you will learn what words are easy to lip read, and what are the words that are not speech readable. So as you're hearing a word that you may not be able to, someone may not be able to distinguish on your lips, you would know as the interpreter to change those words to words that would be easier to lip read. Also, you may do something like a gesture. You definitely don't want to be using signs for sure, but you may use a gesture to indicate if two numbers look the same. You might actually write the number there to show what it is. If two numbers look the same on the mouth. You have to, of course, be very clear, and the person has to be able to see your mouth at all times. And this is the problem that many oral deaf people have when they're sitting in a classroom. They may be excellent lip readers and be able to, totally lip read the instructor. The problem is the instructor's not always looking at them. The instructor may turn around, write on the board. Someone in the back of the class may say something, other students talk, so that the oral deaf person doesn't even have a chance to see the person's mouth. So that's why they may choose to use an interpreter. We here at El Camino don't really provide training in oral interpreting. However, I believe Mount SAC has a class, or maybe even two classes in oral interpreting. And some of the other colleges, like maybe Pierce, they may have like a very short class, like 0.5 unit class. That would be maybe 8 hours of, where at least you could get something. It'd be more like a workshop. Also, oral interpreting might include voicing over the consumer. So you may have a deaf person who uses the speech. Most oral deaf people are going to use speech. But how understandable that speech would be is going to depend on the deaf person. So if in a situation the hearing consumer is not understanding, then you may have to voice over the deaf person so that the hearing consumer can understand. So again, consumers are going to be oralists, those in which speech and speech reading is their primary mode. They may or may not know sign language. And it's very important as the interpreter not to use sign during an oral interpreting assignment. Some oral deaf people really don't want you using any signs. Others may be more comfortable with it, using a sign here and there, but generally speaking, when you're doing oral interpreting, you are not using signs. You may use a gesture. Again, you may print in the air to make something more recognizable. But most are going to prefer no sign language use. An example of what I was talking about earlier, if you have two numbers, let's say, or really anything that's similar on the mouth, but let's say we have two numbers, 30 and 13. 30 and 13 look very similar on the mouth. And so this is an instance where you may, if it's 13, you may actually want to draw on your palm a 13 to show it's 13 and not 30. Now, how would you know to do this? Well, that's where the training comes in, so that you're learning about what words do look like on the mouth, and so you're able to recognize that and then make it more clear to the deaf consumer. The settings are settings that are typical for any interpreting situation. Could be a classroom, it could be a group setting, could be a conference. It's very important with oral interpreters that you do have to be sitting fairly close to them, or you need to be fairly close to them again so they can read your lips. A little bit different than signing on stage. You can be a little bit farther away, you can make your sign bigger. But with oral interpreting, that proximity, being close to the interpreter, is very important. You may be doing telephone interpreting. Obviously, if an oral deaf person is using the telephone, they may be able to speak on their own, use their own voice, but they certainly can't lip read someone who's on the other end of the phone. So, telephone interpreting. Or any time that for some reason a hearing person the speaker is difficult to understand, whether they have an accent or whether it may be in a class where they're using a lot of technical vocabulary. Any situation that might make them difficult to read. So in your training, you learn to articulate and choose phrases that are easily understood. You will learn to rephrase or substitute words that are difficult to lip read. Of course, matching your facial expression is very important. And natural gestures that are very subtle to support speech can be used. And as I said before, the air writing or the palm writing for easily misunderstood words or numbers or names. These are all special techniques that oral interpreters do learn. RID does have an oral transliteration certificate, an OTC. It's a specialized certificate. And I'll just read this next part. Holders of the generalist certificate have demonstrated using silent oral techniques and natural gestures. So they've demonstrated the ability to transliterate a spoken message from a person who hears to a person who is deaf or hard of hearing. They have also demonstrated the ability to understand and repeat the message and intent of the speech and mouth movements of the person who is deaf or hard of hearing. And this test is still currently available to take. And as I said, the only training that I know of is available that's close by is Mount SAC. And, workshops, but I don't even see really that many workshops. So I think you would have to really look hard for finding them. I'm sure there's some out there. There must be. They're still offering the certificate, but you would have to go online and find where they would be available. Okay, any questions? Any questions about oral translation?